Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Thursday edition of the program. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Thursday. You know what that means. That means we're going to be joined here in just a second by our college football analyst, Brent Beaird. Second portion of the program today will be the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup with Marvellous Marty Pallman from the prepzone.com. Get his thoughts on last week's game and the big games tomorrow night in North Central Florida and around the state. But first, let's go ahead and head on over to the Jacksonville area on the Titan Tomorrow hotline to our good friend Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Shane, doing well. Good to be with you. Had a chance to speak to the Putnam County Gator Club on Tuesday night and had some of the folks there say they listen every Thursday. So that's a really great club. They love Florida, and they have been consistent, maybe one of the great feeds, shall we say. The food is always tremendous. So they appreciate it greatly and got the chance tonight to speak to the Clay County Gator Club. So that should be a lot of fun, too.
You're on the speaking circuit right now, huh, Brent?
Right, yes. That kind of comes with the territory, but you get out there and meet some good folks, so we're glad to do it.
Yes, no question about it. Well, Brent, let me get your thoughts on last week. There was obviously the big upset in the horseshoe. Ohio State goes down to Oregon. Were you surprised at all?
Well, I think what surprised me was that it was no fluke. Oregon averaged 7 yards per rush against Ohio State, and even though Ohio State had 3 100-yard receivers in a game, that's rare when that happens. But Ohio State's defense has really struggled. This is amazing, but they are 112 in total defense, second worst in the Big Ten, and dead last among the programs in the state of Ohio. So, yes, a big win and chain for the Pac-12 and particularly for Oregon.
Yeah, it was. You know, the other game that was supposed to be a big game, and Brent, I've kind of bought into this team, it seems like every year, and they just let you down.
Yeah.
Iowa State, I mean, they struggle offensively for whatever reason. You got to give Iowa a ton of credit. I mean, yeah, I know Kirk Ferentz has been under some issues here and there, but they don't wow you. They just play good, solid football. But can we put the Iowa State Cyclones to bed?
I think there's a real love affair with the media, with Matt Campbell. Look, I get that. He's a good program builder. He's done a good job with them. But here's a reality here. Iowa has beaten Iowa State 6 straight times. So they certainly have the upper hand. They have forced 9 turnovers in the past 5 games against Iowa State and committed none. That's a formula for winning, isn't it, Shane? So,
yes.
Now, look, can Iowa sustain this? And we've talked before, the secret at Iowa is about every, Shane, 4 or 5 years, that they've got about 15 to 20 fifth-year seniors, something of that nature, and they're really good. And I think that's kind of what we see here. But it was a big win for them over the team. You're right that a lot of people were looking at maybe going to the playoffs.
Well, they ain't going now. Another game that a lot of people weren't interested in, but it was a track meet, and it was between Memphis and Arkansas. The stats in this game was ridiculous.
Really was. Memphis and Arkansas State combined for 1,361 yards. I mean, that's amazing. Memphis had 680. This thing was 55-50. It was basically a basketball game. And here's what's fun about this, Shane. Memphis had 681 yards, and Arkansas State had 681.
Wow.
680 and 681. I mean, that's amazing, frankly. So, but look, and we'll talk about Memphis in a little bit because they play Mississippi State. But these are schools who've done very well, and it would just. I hope they had enough light bulbs in the scoreboard.
Yeah, and what was interesting, a lot of people may not know this, but Butch Jones, the old Tennessee coach, is now the head coach at Arkansas State. And there's also a familiar guy named James Blackman from Florida State that is playing quarterback. But they had two quarterbacks. I guess they're doing a two-quarterback system. Throw for over 270 yards each.
Yeah, that's amazing. James Blackman, as you mentioned, had 308. Lane Hatcher had 276, and I'm pretty sure Lane Hatcher was a fourth string at Alabama at one point. So you're glad to see these guys able to transfer somewhere and be productive.
Yes, no question. And then the other big game that was supposed to be a big game, and it was hard to watch if you like offense. Michigan buried Washington, but can you believe how bad the Washington Huskies are on offense?
Yeah, that's really awful. Obviously, they had the big change in the coaching staff just a few years ago, so I think they're still trying to get used to Lake at this point. But yeah, there's no doubt. Look, the way as pedestrian as Michigan has been over the last few years, when you've got a team in Washington that makes Michigan look really good, that probably tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, some non-SEC games this week. There's some that are pretty intriguing around the country. What stands out to you, Brent, out of the non-SEC games?
You still want to see, if you're an ACC fan, Miami continue to overcome that Alabama loss. They've got Michigan State, which is an interesting game. Virginia Tech, West Virginia. Cincinnati plays Indiana. And Cincinnati is going to be playing Indiana and Notre Dame, and that's going to be huge for them. There was a lot in the preseason that talked about if Cincinnati wants to get the playoff picture, that they've got to win both of those games. So this is going to be important. Minnesota, Colorado were playing. Colorado, the team that nearly beat Texas A&M last week, Virginia. Or Oklahoma State, Boise, they're playing Fresno State, UCLA. UCLA has a lot of people's attention now because they beat LSU. So you're right. It's a pretty good slate of games that are kind of a bit under the radar.
Turn your car or truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot this September. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with our college football analyst, Brent Beaird, here on the Titan MR Hotline. You can follow Brent on Twitter at Brent Beaird. All right, Brent, let's jump into the conference. Alabama's coming to the Swamp. It's been quite some time since they've been there. We all know about their young quarterback. I guess my question is, the Will Anderson kid going to play?
We think so. We're not exactly sure. What you hear from Alabama beat writers is, and he had a hyperextended knee, and you can explain that to us because you probably had one of those in your career, but they're trying to be careful with him. And again, they played Mercer last week, and Mercer has this tendency as a kind of a triple option team. Georgia Tech did this. You had all these cut blocks, and Shane can explain kind of what that means technically, but I think the bottom line is that they think he will. And here's the thing, Shane. Anderson's one of these guys, even if he just plays, say, a dozen plays in the game, he is a real difference maker in getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, he is. There's no question. Brent, Bryce Young, this will be his first real road test as a starter. We know he played in it's not the Georgia Dome, Mercedes-Benz Dome against Miami, but there were a ton of Alabama fans at that game. How do you think this kid's going to react? I mean, we know he was very touted, number one quarterback coming out of California a couple of years ago. We know Saban, they're going to have him prepared to play, but we don't know really how he will react. Brent, I know you're an Alabama guy. You think this guy will be able to handle it?
I think so. I mean, one thing they've talked about him when they describe him is that even as young as he is, he's got a good head on his shoulders and he can deal with pressure. Now, on the field, he's been pressured 29 times in 2 games. He's only been sacked twice. So that certainly is in his favor. And I think here with Alabama, one of the real keys to this game, it's not only Bryce Young, but you've also got several players who are, this is going to be their first real true road trip too, and how are they going to deal with the noise and how they're going to deal with being on the road and in the normal situations that go with that. And Alabama's pretty good in handling those situations. But quick illustration here, Bama has a freshman who's going to be a star at one day. His name is, this is his name, Shane. His name is Kool-Aid McKinstry. Well, Kool-Aid got an interception in the Mercer game, and then later on in the game, he got totally confused in coverage and allowed a touchdown. So I think that's what you've got, right? When you've got young players that they can be superstars on one drive, and then the next drive that they just get totally lost in communication. So anytime you've got that, a similar situation could happen.
Yeah, you're right. And Kool-Aid actually has changed. His legitimate name is now Kool-Aid.
Yes,
I was talking to Ryan Fowler out of Tuscaloosa about that yesterday. But I would love, hopefully not against the Gators, because I think he returns punts too, if I'm not mistaken. I would love to hear Eli Gold's call if Kool-Aid in his career either takes an interception back for a touchdown or a punt, just to hear Eli Gold call that name. That'd be something special.
Really would.
I got a Facebook Live brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. It comes from Wesley. He says, the last time we hosted an SEC school ranked number 1 was LSU in 1959, 1 week before Billy Cannon's punt return on Halloween. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Well, it is. I remember Billy Cannon real well at LSU, who is a legend. Unfortunately, Billy Cannon also spent some time behind bars at some point, but he's still a legend there, to say the least. So, yeah, that really does make it interesting. Gators 4-15-2 all the time while playing the defending national champion, 2-5-1 at home. So that there's a lot of stats like that we'll hear about over the next few days.
Yep. Brent, switching over to the other side, the Gators. We all know Anthony Richards is going to play. We don't know if he's 100%. Obviously, the medical staff, he's practiced some. They're not going to put him out there if they're going to injure it any worse, but you never know with a hamstring. But, both Emory and Anthony are kind of quarterbacks that have given Alabama trouble in the past. What are you hearing out of Alabama? Because, you think about, the drop back pass, pocket passers, Alabama just feast on usually. But these dual threat kind of guys have given them problems. What have you heard from Saban on the 2 quarterbacks at Florida?
Well, I mean, they're certainly concerned about both of them. I think what they want to do, and this is no secret, but they want to be able to limit and stop Florida's run. I mean, Florida's on offense, their running back room is the best that they've got at this point. I mean, it frankly may be, you can make the argument their running backs as total are the best in the league. I mean, Alabama and Georgia are certainly up there too. So I think what they want to do, Shane, is to be able to stop the run as much as possible. And then they may have the best pass rush they've had in years. This is frankly the best Alabama defense they think they've had. Ryan Fowler may have said the same thing since 2016 because they think they can get pressure on the quarterback, which is something they have not really been able to do over the last few years. So I think their game plan is going to be, can they stop the running backs and be able to put enough pressure on the quarterbacks and get them uncomfortable? That's one of their main goals.
Yep. The Hogs are coming off a huge win over Texas where they just dominated the Longhorns. They're hosting Georgia Southern, but you have to be impressed with Sam Pittman's crew.
Shane, that was no fluke, was it?
No.
I mean, Arkansas ran for 7 yards a carry in the win, and I mean, they jumped on them early and never let up. So 40-21, KJ Jefferson was. I mean, the numbers were good, 14 of 19 from 138. But I mean, when you run for 333 yards, that means you're dominating somebody, and that's what they did. Kendall Briles has mentioned, or at least the Arkansas media has, that he is probably a better fit for Kendall Briles' Baylor-inspired offense than even Felipe Franks was. So I think they've been successful so far. Now, this number really sticks out to me for Arkansas. And look, it's early, and it's only been Rice and Texas. But Shane, get this. They've allowed only one run of 10-plus yards in 2 games.
Jeez.
Now, that's amazing for a rush defense. So, I mean, how good is Texas? We don't know yet, but that was a humongous win for them.
It was, and you got to give Barry Odom, the former Missouri coach, who's their DC, a lot of credit. A really intriguing game. We've seen how Bo Nix and Auburn has played. They've played nobody in Alabama State and Akron. They go to Happy Valley. Penn State, we don't really know what to make of them. But this is, I want to say, a 7:30 or 8 o'clock game, so the Gator fans should be able to check it out. This is a pretty intriguing game, huh?
Very much. It's on the radar a little bit, but still, I mean, game day is going there. This is a real opportunity for both these teams, frankly. I mean, but Bo Nix on the last game, 9 of 17 were 108, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's been efficient. He's been better. He deserves credit for that. And that they have run well. Jarquez Hunter has emerged along with Tank Bigsby, who had 122 yards, but Hunter had 147. And as Shane said, they really have not played anyone, so we really don't know at this point where they are. Nix on the road compared to Nix at home is a very different quarterback, to say the least. Now Noah Cain, Sean Clifford at Penn State. Shane, I don't think you played up there, but that is a great atmosphere. I mean, Auburn to be ready because of the atmospheres in the SEC, but it's a whiteout, so it will be a great atmosphere that's coming up. But this is a litmus test for both of these teams, and they both have got really good defenses. So I could even see a game here, Shane, maybe in the teens or even in the 20s.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. I think Brian Harson's done a great job right now. A lot of people are excited about the Auburn Tigers, but we'll find out a lot about them Saturday night. One of the other, there's not a whole lot of conference games, but Georgia hosts the Gamecocks. Now, it seems like South Carolina's always kind of hung around against Georgia, kind of upset them here and there. I don't see how they keep this competitive. Who's going to start at quarterback? And my second part of that question is, were you surprised that the mailman, Stetson Bennett, started over Carson Beck last week? And he had the greatest stat line I've ever seen in any level of football. 9 for 9 for 285 and 5 touchdowns. It's crazy.
Just amazing. I mean, Bennett overall was 10 to 12 for 288 and 5 touchdowns. I'm with you. I thought Carson Beck would start. I mean, he got in, played a little bit, 410 for 88. But Georgia ran for 163. They threw for 376. This one player to keep an eye on for Georgia. This Brock Bowers, the tight end, 3 catches, 107. He is really good, so keep your eye on him. But look, I mean, that's a really good question. Is who starts for both these teams? JT Daniels, will he be starting back for Georgia, or will they go back to Stetson Bennett, and will we finally see Luke Doty, or will we continue to see Zeb Nolan, who is the GA? Now, look, South Carolina beat Georgia a couple of years ago. What we remember that was a monumental upset. But look, Shane, South Carolina does not have the roster they need. They beat East Carolina on field goal in the last play of the game, to their credit. So Shane Beamer's 2-0, but he will be 2-1, and probably this game would be over at halftime.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Chattanooga Mocs head into and play the Kentucky Wildcats, who, I really like this Kentucky team, Brent, the more I watch them. I also love the quarterback at Missouri. What are your thoughts after that big conference win for Kentucky last week?
That was a great game. I enjoyed that game, and thought really that Missouri was going to rally and maybe be able to win it. But Will Levis continues to play well, 10 of 18 for 179. The guy right now that you could actually make a case for being the league MVP is Chris Rodriguez. 206 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. He leads the league in rushing. And I'm sure this Wan'Dale Robinson has caught your eye, Shane. He had 101 yards receiving, can also run the ball. They've actually got an offense for the first time. In 2 games, they've got 11 touchdowns. In the past, they may not have 11 touchdowns in 3 or 4 games. But look, this is a very dangerous football team, and they have really resurfaced this year and playing well. And Shane, I won't hesitate to say, well, one of Florida's most dangerous games this year again will be with Kentucky.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Mainly because they can throw the football a little bit now. LSU, who is struggling big time. They got Central Michigan and Jim McElwain. I think this game's going to be close. I just have not been impressed with LSU at all this year.
Well, there are a myriad of problems. Max Johnson is struggling. He was 18 of 27, 161. This is amazing. But this is McNeese State, okay? Again, this is Ed Orgeron's son as a quarterback, Cody. But against McNeese State, LSU ran for 126 yards. 126 yards. That's unbelievable. They are second to last in the SEC in rushing, 86 yards per game. They're having trouble at quarterback. They're having trouble with the offensive line for whatever reason. They had 3 starters who did not play. John Emery, one of their better running backs, is academically ineligible, and that's a real mess to look at that. So, but I think Shane's right, because Central Michigan, coached by Jim McElwain, who missed the first SEC game of this year because he had appendicitis and had surgery. Central Michigan's quarterback is Jacob Sermon, a transfer from Washington. That might be familiar. But are you surprised, as I am, Shane, that LSU's having this much trouble this early in the season?
Yeah, because a lot of people were high on them this year just because of the talent on that roster, but they have not played well at all. A very intriguing game is Mississippi State is going to Memphis. Mississippi State, where they've impressed me, Brent, they've been playing tremendous defense, and they're going to need to against this Memphis offense. But this could be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Will Rogers at quarterbacks played well for Mississippi State too. Now, Shane mentioned defense. State's got 2 cornerbacks that people have talked about that may end up in the NFL, Martin Emerson and Manuel Forbes. That's going to be interesting. They're going against Calvin Austin and Sean Dykes, who are really good offensive players at Memphis. Memphis has got another really good quarterback, Seth Hennigan, who is he was only a 3-star prospect out of Texas, but every year they have a really good quarterback, and Hennigan is the latest. So Shane's right. This thing may be 55-50 before it's over.
Yep. Another intriguing game in the state of Mississippi is Ole Miss hosts Tulane, who played OU extremely well a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if they played last week or not, but this could be a track meet.
It really could. And Tulane, they've got a quarterback named Michael Pratt who is really good also. So that's going to be a challenge for DJ Durkin. Has done a good job with the Ole Miss defense. Obviously, was on the Florida staff at some point too. And look, defensively, Isaiah Iton, he's a JUCO transfer, has played well for Ole Miss. I mean, we know the principals at Ole Miss. Matt Corral has been tremendous. Frankly, Henry Paris, John Rice Plumlee, they've got him all over the field. Ontario Drummond, I call it 6 passes. So defensively, they're better. Well, we know what they can do offensively. But look, Willie Fitz at Tulane is a really good football coach. So, Shane, I'm with you. I won't be surprised at all if this thing may go down in the fourth quarter.
Yep. Tennessee, the Gators' opponent next week. Quarterback goes down. Hooker comes in. I thought he played really well. I think he's the better quarterback for them. Don't you? They haven't announced a starter, but don't you think Hayden Hooker will be the starter?
Probably. Milton not only got hurt in the game, it was a lower leg injury, but Milton has had a tendency, the Michigan transfer, he'll overthrow wide open receivers, which have been a real problem for them. So nothing announced, but I think that's probably where they would go. One thing that will help them is Byron Young, a defensive end, one of their better ones, have been cleared to play. He had some eligibility issues, so that's going to help them. So Tennessee needs some real confidence. I mean, they'll beat Tennessee Tech, but at the same time, they've got to get something settled at quarterback.
Yeah, the Aggies, they squeak one out, and give them credit, man. They fought. Their defense kept them in it against Colorado, and Calzado, I think that's how you pronounce his game, made enough plays at the end for them to win. How long is Haynes King going to be out, Brent?
Well, that's the big question. That was an ugly injury, Shane. I don't know if you saw that, but they basically picked him up and threw him down on the field like a rag doll, and that fractured his ankle. So, but I mean, the reality is they're saying maybe mid-October or later, but keep this in mind. They play Alabama on October the 9th, so I'm sure they're probably shooting for that. What we will see, Calzada, actually, we heard from an A&M beat writer that said he played well toward the end of the game. And even though Isaiah Spiller didn't run the ball real well, he caught a touchdown on a wheel route to be able to win it. By the way, McKinley Jackson is going to be back in the lineup on the defensive line. He's got in some trouble, so he's out of the doghouse at this point. And Jaden Peavy at defensive tackle is playing real well too. So, but as you know, when you lose your quarterback in a game like that, that's a problem. They play New Mexico. The New Mexico quarterback is Terry Wilson, who came from Kentucky. From this year to last year, I hope you're sitting down. New Mexico has won 4 straight games. First time that's happened since 2004.
Wow. Terry Wilson's still in college football. Seems like that guy's been playing forever.
Really?
And between him and Joey Gatewood, they've kind of run out of transfers, you would think.
Yes.
They've both transferred 3 times. Real quick, give Vanderbilt credit, man. They were getting killed by Colorado State. Yep. They come back and get their first win of the year. That
really was. Now they play Stanford. I want to see the SAT scores and the roster for both these the schools. But Ken Seals has played okay. Now they play a Stanford team that beat Southern Cal last week and ended the Clay Helton era, which would give us all kinds of speculation. But I always get amused at this every year. You've got Vanderbilt and Stanford, and you've also got one of those games. The other game that's going on is you've got Northwestern and Duke. So academically, you've got a couple of games with some impressive guys.
You really do. Brent, before we let you go, I got to get your thoughts. Well, first of all, two things. Well, first, I want you to mention, talk about Florida State. What a mess it is there. I don't know if it's going to get any better now. I think we kind of got lulled to sleep a little bit that they may be coming back, but we don't know how good Notre Dame is now. But how you lose a game like that just blows my mind.
Well, it was just it was incredible. I don't care what level of football you're on. At the end of the game, on the last play, you can't let anyone get behind you, and that's exactly what they did. It's just inexplicable in a lot of ways. McKenzie Milton is going to start. I think he should. And the problem is they're 0-2 for the third time in the last 5 years. But here's the bottom line at FSU. They're not going to fire Mike Norvell. I still think Mike Norvell is a pretty good football coach. Now, he's got to prove it there. He was at Memphis. But your reality is, Shane, this is just logical here, okay? They don't have the alumni and the boosters where they can change coaches every 2 or 3 years like you've done at Tennessee. They just don't have the money. So they're going to have to go with Norvell, and frankly, they need to, and see if they can work this out. But they have got a huge game Saturday against Wake Forest, and you almost hate to say must win in September, but it's pretty close, isn't it, Shane?
Yeah, it really is. I wanted to get your thoughts before we let you go, Brent, and get to the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. Who do you think is going to be the next coach out of Southern California?
Listen, I've heard 50 names this week. Obviously, Urban Meyer made a big deal about it wasn't going to be him. James Franklin at Penn State has been mentioned. There'll be a lot of guys who get a big raise out of this, even though they probably were not even considered. But they've got to get a really good recruiter. Look, that's a really good job. Everyone knows that, and college football is better when Southern Cal is better. But we've got a different day, don't we, Shane? I mean, coaches can get fired after one game, and then they'll spend a lot of time talking with different guys about this. So, I mean, I've heard college coaches, I've heard NFL assistants like you have. So there will be plenty of rumors between now and when they make a hire, probably the first week of December.
Yeah, and I think I'm the only person in America that thinks they're going to hire Lane Kiffin again. It's a new AD, new president. Lane's changed a lot over those years, and I think he's a perfect fit, a California boy. His kids still live out there, and they're young. And he knows he can win and get into the national championship picture out there. He ain't never going to do that at Ole Miss. So I guess I'm crazy to think that, but we shall see. All right, Brent, good stuff as always. We'll see you in Gainesville on Saturday, my man.
Look, thank you, buddy. Take care.
Yep, that's Brent Beaird, our college football analyst. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. We're going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we're going to switch to Friday Night Lights, and we're going to talk to our man, Marvellous Marty Pallman, on the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Aikido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar, located on top of Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point, is now open Thursday through Saturday. Visor's covered open-air bar is the perfect place to gather after work or meet up with friends. You'll love the handcrafted cocktails and elevated shareables available every Thursday through Saturday. Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar is perfect for fans of great food, great drinks, and great weather. Visor's not required. High spirits are highly encouraged. Visit spurriers.com/visors.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Center State Bank is now South State Bank, but they put business first. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State still has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. We're now going to go to the Titan MRO hotline, and we're going to be joined by Marvellous Marty Pallman with theprepzone.com here on the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. Good morning, Marty. How are you, my man?
Morning, QB. Good to be with you, as always.
Absolutely. Well, Marty, we're heading into week 4, I believe, of high school football.
Yes.
I guess, I mean, you know, you're the voice of the Bishop Kenny Crusaders over in Jacksonville, but you call a lot of games also on Thursday nights, and you watch a lot of tape. You keep up with all the coaches and teams. Right now in the North Central Florida area, would you say Buchholz and Hawthorne are the top 2 teams?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think there's any real question about it. And although we're going to see how good Buchholz is this week when Cardinal Gibbons comes in from Fort Lauderdale, last year's 4A state champion. They've won the last couple of years state championships. So this is going to be the biggest test for Buchholz to this point. Although the first 2 weeks, they did have tougher games against Denellen. And then week 2, they went up to Jacksonville, beat Sandalwood pretty handily. But last week, Buchholz had no problem with Eastside in the city rivalry. And now Cardinal Gibbons comes to Citizens Field on Friday. And it's one of those matchups you don't normally see. But now with the way schedules are being done and, you know, you get points for the bigger teams you play. Mark Whittemore's got Cardinal Gibbons on his schedule. He's got Tallahassee Leon coming up. And you know, some other games, bowls later on in the schedule, some other games you may not have seen in the past, you know, you're going to see. And that one of those is this Friday night with Cardinal Gibbons and Buchholz.
Yeah. When you look at, you know, Hawthorne, Cornelius Singer's done a tremendous job over there. He's got a bunch of transfers that have come in. I want to say they're 1A. I want to say they played 5A Swanee last week. What happened in that game?
Actually, they didn't. That was called off due to COVID. During a couple days before the game. Now they're still trying to set up that game for October 1st. Both teams have a bye week, but I haven't committed or haven't heard a commitment to that yet. That's been confirmed. But so Hawthorne's only played 2 games right now, so they're 2-0. They beat Yulee 14-7 week 1, and then went to PK Young and shut them out week 2. And then this week they get Newberry, and you know, Newberry has had an interesting season too. They won their first 2 games. Last week they were supposed to play PK Young, and then because of COVID, PK Young told them on Wednesday that they couldn't go to Newberry. So Newberry scheduled Wakulla at the last minute, which is a step up in competition, no doubt. And they went from a 3A team to a pretty good 5A team, and Newberry ended up losing to Wakulla last Friday night, the first loss of the season. So now Newberry and Hawthorne, you got 2 more Alachua County teams going at it this week. And I think we'll see Hawthorne get challenged a bit. But honestly, I don't think Hawthorne's going to have too much problem with that. And then the other 1A team you have that's kind of been struggling a bit is Bradford. They lost their first 2 games, including getting blown out by Union County. But then they come back last week and beat Clay. So, you know, there are some teams that are trying to get it figured out. There are some teams that have won their games to this point, but COVID has been an issue for a lot of these games. And a lot of these teams have been, scheduling games Thursday and Friday some weeks.
We got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Vince wants to know, Marty, give us a prediction for the Cardinal Gibbons Buchholz game.
Oh, man. I like to, when I get predictions, I like to give them for the area team, and I don't want to get anybody upset, but I think this is going to be Buchholz's toughest game, probably most definitely the regular season, except for maybe bowls later on. And I think Buchholz will win this game defensively. The way they've been playing, and with Quan Lee and the offense, Creed Whittemore heaving the ball. I think this is going to be an offensive game, probably a shootout. I'd say Buchholz wins this one close at home, probably 31-28 or 35-30, somewhere in that area. But I think you're going to see a lot of points Friday night at Citizens Field.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Cardinal Gibbons, as you said, they won the state title last year, but they lost their quarterback and they lost a bunch of other people. And I'm sure they reload down there that's a private school, right? Don't get me started on them,
right.
Those guys there, Marty.
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, Joseph says on Facebook Live, you always want to play Stark early. They drop a few early every year, then they go on a winning streak to close the season. So we'll see how the Tornadoes do over there, but they're supposed to have a pretty good team this year. Last week, last week Buchholz played Eastside, kind of handled them. Who do the Rams play tomorrow?
Eastside, they're on the road this week against Menendez, so that's their first district game of the season. And last week, they were going to really match up, I think, with Buchholz, and we kind of knew that going in. They played better the first 2 weeks against Middleburg and PK Young. They lost those games, but they at least scored some points. I think this week will be more of a, one more see if Eastside can get a win in a district game, because if they can, that'll obviously help them towards the postseason. But I don't think there's anything you can really take out of that Buchholz game last week. I think it was pretty obvious that Buchholz was going to win that game. But I think Eastside's making some strides, at least on the offensive side of the ball, and they're trying to turn it around now defensively as well. And, that takes time, as you well know. But, yeah, this week they head to Menendez and then North Marion in a couple weeks. They get a bye after this week. So it's going to be a tough week coming up after Menendez. So this would be good for them to get a win over in St. Augustine this Friday night.
Yep. Tim says on Facebook Live, who's Bishop Sycamore play this week? Yeah. What a story that was.
Yeah.
Former Gator Doc Pollard got a big win Friday night down in Ocala against Trinity Catholic. Did that surprise you at all? But I think Trinity Catholic may be down a little bit this year.
Well, apparently it looks like Trinity Catholic's down. I mean, I don't want to put anything past Coach Brantley down there, because they've only played 2 games, and they were supposed to play Buchholz week 1. Same issue was with COVID happened, and Buchholz ended up playing Denellen, and then Trinity goes to Clearwater and loses to a good Clearwater Central Catholic team. But boy, if you look at GHS right now, I mean, they've scored 29 points in 3 games, and they're 2-1. I mean, and their loss was to Vanguard. So they're really doing it with defense. And not that you'd be that surprised that Doc Pollard's team played good defense, but I mean, you beat Bishop Moore 14-6, allowing there was only a defensive score for Bishop Moore. And then last week, a 7-3. How many 7-3 games we see in high school football, these days? And that's how GHS is winning. And they are on the road at Matanzas this week. That's a first district game for them. That's a winnable game too. Matanzas is 1-2, kind of struggling a bit. And then after that, GHS is home to Santa Fe before the big Buchholz game October 7th. So the Hurricanes could be 4-1 really going into that Buchholz game. And I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to beat Buchholz, but it's always a good game, it seems like, between those two teams. But GHS is doing it right now just completely with defense. And Ryan Nolan he's fun to watch. He can play on both sides of the ball, makes big hits, makes big plays, and he does enough at the quarterback position that GHS has been able to win 2 of the first 3 games.
Switching gears, Marty, also right now, volleyball's in full force. Tell us some of the good teams to check out in volleyball in the North Central Florida area.
Well, tonight, Shane, we're going to be actually our first Prep Zone volleyball broadcast of the season tonight. We'll have streaming video from the Purple Palace of Santa Fe and GHS. And, Santa Fe is, if you're looking for a team in this area, that's the team to watch again. They're ranked 5th in the state according to Max Preps, off to a 10-2 start. The only losses have come to Ponte Vedra, who's number 3 in the nation right now, 2-time defending state champs. And they lost as well to Berkeley Prep down in Tampa in a tournament earlier on. But Santa Fe, once again, pretty senior and junior dominated team. Looks like the team, at least in Alachua County, and Gainesville's been playing pretty well too. There are only 2 losses have come to Forest at this point, but Ocala Forest. But they're going to get a big test tonight from Santa Fe. Santa Fe, Eric Marshall always has a good program there. Newberry was the 1A state runner-up last year. They've been struggling a little bit to this point, but starting to put it together a bit. And then, of course, Marion County, if you're looking down there for volleyball, always Trinity Catholic, the defending state champs. Vanguard has been to the state championship recently. So has Forest. So a lot of good teams in Marion County. If you're looking around Gainesville area, Alachua County right now, it's definitely Santa Fe. That's the best team we've seen right now in this area.
And you think Santa Fe can make a deep run in the playoffs?
I mean, I don't see right now. Last year they ran into Bishop Kenny in the regional final, lost that in 5 sets. Bishop Kenny won the state title in Class 4A last year. 2 years ago, Santa Fe was in the state championship game. They were also in the state championship game the year before. And, with the team they have, I don't see why they can't. I mean, especially like I said, the only teams that have beaten them so far to this point are higher classification teams or nationally ranked teams. And, they play a pretty tough schedule already. So I think Santa Fe, again, can have a chance to make a long run to wherever the volleyball finals are. We don't know where that is yet, where those are going to be yet December. And FHSA is yet to announce where the football state championships are going to be. So we're still waiting to see where everything's going to be happening this December as far as those state championships are concerned.
All right. And so the prep zone is on the call tomorrow night. Buchholz, Cardinal Gibbons, and you're on the call up in Jacksonville for Bishop Kenny.
Yep. I'm in Jacksonville on Fridays. Bishop Kenny will play the first-year school to Coy Creek from St. Johns County this week at 7. I know. Yep. And, on the air there every Friday night at 7. And then Mike Rideout will have Cardinal Gibbons Buchholz coming up this week on the Prep Zone, also Main Street Daily News as well. .com, and he has the game of the week for you in the area every Friday night. And then starting in a couple of weeks, we'll have some Thursday games as well coming up from Citizens Field.
Marty, y'all still having the different teams out to Sonic on a weekly basis?
Yes. Speaking of that, thanks for bringing that up. Last night, our guests were the Gainesville volleyball team at Sonic over there on Northwest 39th Avenue in Gainesville. Still bringing the Prep Zone show 7 to 8 every Wednesday night from Sonic in Gainesville. And we've already had a few guests like a volleyball. We've had some cross-country teams that have come out as well. Already visits from some of the football teams in the area. So, yep, already off to a big start. We've been doing that. I think this is the 8th or 9th year at Sonic in Gainesville, and happy to be doing that again this year from Sonic.
Well, good stuff as always, Marvellous, Marty. We appreciate you joining the program. Safe travels. Have a good call for Bishop Kenny tomorrow night and volleyball game tonight, and we will talk to you on down the road, my man.
All right. Good talking to you, Shane. Thanks a lot.
Yep, that's Marty Pallman from the PrepZone.com. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. Going to take a final time out of this Thursday edition. Come back, put a wrap on it.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Are you tired of being sidelined by nagging pain? Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and Dance with the Stars champion. Happy to tell you about QC Kinetics and their biologic therapies for treating pain without drugs or surgery.
Are you suffering from chronic pain in your hips, knees, shoulder, or lower back? Are you tired of living with arthritis pain? QC Kinetics offers natural pain treatment that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints.
Listen, I know pain, and I've seen firsthand how powerful biologic therapies can be. Patients at QC Kinetics rave about their result because they're getting their lives back. They are getting moving again.
These exciting regenerative treatments used to be available only to pro athletes like Emmitt. Now they're available to anyone thanks to QC Kinetics. Call today for your free consultation.
Get long-lasting results from my friends at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. In North Central Florida, call 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar, located on top of Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point, is now open Thursday through Saturday. Visor's covered open-air bar is the perfect place to gather after work or meet up with friends. You'll love the handcrafted cocktails and elevated shareables available every Thursday through Saturday. Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar is perfect for fans of great food, great drinks, and great weather. Visor's not required. High spirits are highly encouraged. Visit spurriers.com/visors.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, Bass Pro Shops, Regal Cinemas, Le Macaron French Pastries, Dave & Buster's, Palmetto Moon, and the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Make your reservations today at spurriers.com. And now, Visors is open starting tonight, folks, for the Gator Talk. Coach Dan Mullen will be there. It'll be a packed house, but it's open Thursday through Saturdays now. The Visors Tailgate and Rooftop Bar. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. I want to thank Brent Beaird, a college football analyst, and Marty Pallman from the prepzone.com joining us on the Titan MR hotline. They do that every Thursday. Get a little college football around the country, and then our Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. This day in sports brought to you our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Tips now hiring team members with all levels of experience. $1,000 signing bonus for qualified positions. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2366. To stay in sports in 2018, Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes sets an NFL record of 10 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks of the season. Torching Pittsburgh secondary with 6 TD passes leads the Chiefs to a 42-37 victory on the road. So I just got a text. I don't know what that's all about, but that brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. We are going to we'll have JC. We'll do our Peachland Dentistry weekend picks. We'll also have Chris Stewart from the Alabama Radio Network talking Alabama, Florida. He's their color and sideline guy. So make sure you tune in for that. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.
That's good stuff. The last thing, we're going to let you go. The old ball coach,
Yep.
the unique guy, and he coaches a unique style.
Yes.
I ask all the former players, you got any good stories you'd like to Gator Nation to know about old Coach Spurrier?
I think everybody's told every great story. Just one of my all-time favorite lines is that, coaches say, well, it's not your fault. We're the dumbass coaches that gave you a scholarship. Dan Alden, man, he had a unique way of kind of poking the bear through sarcasm, unlike any other coach I've ever been around. And it was great to see him back on the sideline recently, and hopefully he gets the itch to do it again, man. The game needs it.